What's up, you guys? It's Victoria from Under Victoria's Spell, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my mid-month wrap-up for March. And I just have about 4 or 5 books to talk about. I've been a little slumpy this month, but I am looking forward to talking about these books, so I'm just gonna hop right into it. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to talk about is actually like a novella length, and it's like a prequel. It's point 2, and that's The Sword by J. Bree. It's for her new series that I thought was coming out this month, but it's actually coming out next month at the end of April, which I'm very excited for. But this one really focused on the other character that is going to be the main character in our new series. It follows his journey as he is part of this Fae world, and you really understand what's kind of going on in the Fae world, what he's been through growing up, and where he is going to be. And I thought it was really interesting to kind of see both of their stories from point 1 and point 2. I just thought that you're really getting a good foundation of who these characters are. And this one was a little bit more politic heavy, but it definitely set up for some great twists and turns that is going to be in the first book. So I really enjoyed this one. I didn't rate it anything. I believe I rated the first one, but this one, I mean, there was really like zero romance in it. It was just purely world building. So I felt like it wasn't necessary to rate this one, but I did finish it. And the next book that I'm going to talk about is actually a buddy read that I did with my 2 very good friends here on Booktube, Erica and Autumn. I will link their channels down below. Please make sure to check out their channels and their mid-month wrap-ups. But we decided to pick this up finally. It had been kind of on our radar. And it's a short book. It's only around 180 something pages. So this was something very quick. We all knew that this book was very well liked here on Booktube and Bookstagram. So we finally picked it up. It was very high on my TBR because I knew Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl talk about it all the time and really enjoyed it. So I really wanted to give it a try. And it's Passion and Venom by S. Williams or Shonora Williams. And I gave this book 3.5 stars. Overall, like, it was enjoyable. Like, it was fast-paced. It was definitely something that caught my attention and kept my attention because I was just so flabbergasted by this entire book. And it follows our heroine as she is getting married, and as her and her new husband are on the way to their honeymoon, he gets shot and killed right in front of her, and she gets kidnapped by these people. And she wakes up and she's on this ship island in the middle of nowhere, and she is pretty much waiting to be killed until our hero, or anti-hero, whichever you want to call him, not rescues her, but comes to get her and lets her live in his house because he hated her husband. And we don't really find out what he did. I don't know if you found, I'm sure you found that out later on in the series. But what was so like interesting about this book, and it really just grabbed my attention, was just the interactions that they had, how our hero would treat our heroine. I mean, he would starve her because he thought it was for her own good. He just wanted her to obey and listen to his every command. And you kind of understand why he's like that a little bit based off of how his interaction is in like the prologue. But at the same time, like, it is very, very extreme how he treats her and how she reacts to things. And overall, it was just a book I could not put down because I was like, what is going to happen? Because every page was different, and it was just incredibly wild. I do see the very problematic issues in this book. I understand why Autumn DNF'd this book and did not like it. I understand why Erica and I both flew through this book. I mean, it was just so captivating. I don't know if it's a series that I'm going to continue. I know Erica continued on and she talks about it a little bit in her wrap-up, I believe. But let me just tell you, if you want a book that you're kind of like, what the hell did I just read? This is definitely the right one for you. And the next book that I'm going to talk about is book 4 in the Shutter Lake series, and that is Beautifully Broken Control. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It's by Catherine Cowles. And I had really high hopes for this one because I was very excited for Kane's story and Kennedy's, because we kind of got a hint of Kennedy's story in book 3. So I was very excited. And don't get me wrong, it was still very, very enjoyable. But at the same time, I was a little let down by some of it. I just felt like their relationship was so like push and pull at times based off of their own demons that they had in their personal lives and they dealt with, that I felt like they could have pushed through a little bit more and stood together a little bit more solid. But overall, I really, really did enjoy this book. It follows our heroine Kennedy as she has started over a new life because of the sins of her family. And then you have Kane, who you meet him in the other books like a little bit, like he's mentioned. He has a security company and he is creating a new app, and he has a reason why he is so overprotective and why he demands control in every aspect of his life. And you kind of just meld these people together as Kennedy is fighting for a simplistic life after all the trauma she's been through. And we have Kane, who is overprotective and trying to give her the world, and it's just two clashings together. And they have some really, really great moments. They have some really difficult moments, but overall their story was very good. I just wish their communication was a little bit better and the ending was fleshed out just a little bit more. But yeah, I gave that one 3.5 stars. And the next book that I read, I finished the Shutter Lake series, and the last book was Beautifully Broken Redemption, book 5. And I gave this one 4 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. I thought this was a beautiful ending to wrap up this series. And it follows completely different characters than you would expect, because honestly, I didn't even read the synopsis before I went into this book, because I was like, who is it going to be following? Because like we've met everybody and everyone has their happy ending. And we got a completely new character and then a side character from book 4. And I really love their story. They have a arranged, well, not really arranged marriage, but it is an arranged marriage, I guess you could say. And the banter between these two characters, the connection between these two characters was just beautiful. We have our heroine who has had an incredibly difficult life. You find out very early on about her family, about what she goes through and where she is to this day and how strong she is. And she is watching her niece and nephew and for the summer while their mom is trying to wrap things up where they used to live to move here, and there's a tragedy that happens and she is now having to have custody of these kids, but she is fighting for the custody for these kids. And so in comes our hero to save the day, bring in that financial stability, a home, a loving family. And I just absolutely loved their story. I thought it was incredibly heartbreaking, the things that they had been through, but I love how much they supported each other and how they got through the difficult times. So overall, such a beautiful ending to the series. I highly suggest that if you love romantic suspense, overprotective heroes, and just like that cozy feeling whenever you read a book, I definitely suggest the Shutter Lake series by Catherine Cowles. And the next book that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to speak about briefly because I'm going to be doing a video this upcoming Friday talking a little bit more in depth about this. But I picked up The Words by Ashley Jade, and I did not want to like this book, okay? Because I do not like rock star romances. But I gave this book 5 stars. I don't cry a lot in books. Like, I can get teary-eyed, but I've not like sobbed, and I sobbed reading this book. I was so emotional. I was so invested in their story. It was just so good. I can't wait to talk more about it on Friday's video for the video that I'm doing about why I read this book. But yeah, it was so good. It follows our heroine and our hero all the way from high school, all the way up to him being a rock star. It's an enemies to lovers romance, and it is 700 pages. That is a dedication, let me just tell you. That is fantasy length. But if you have not picked this up, you definitely should. All the hype that has been everywhere about this book, so well deserved. So well deserved. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you have not picked it up, please do. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is actually a DNF, and it was my second buddy read with Autumn and Erica. I'm the only one that didn't finish it because I DNF'd it, and that is The Fine Print. I really wanted to enjoy this book because I know it's everyone's least favorite, but I'm like, it's a billionaire romance. Like, that's one of my favorite tropes. And I do like workplace romance when it's done correctly. But I found this book very boring. I think I got like 25, 20, 30. No. I got 40% into this book and I decided to DNF it. It just was boring. I was not invested in these characters and I was just over it. So I decided to DNF. If you want to know more about the Erica and Autumn's thoughts, definitely check out their videos because they did finish the book. So definitely check out their videos to know their thoughts. I thought this was boring. This follows our hero as his grandfather has just passed away and he has to do something in order to get his half of the company. And we have our heroine who is just the sunshine heroine who's happy-go-lucky. And it's kind of like two worlds clashing together, and it's hate to love for sure, but I just was not invested. It's not that I didn't see the chemistry between these characters, it's just I thought that it just wasn't well written enough for me to believe it as far as I got into the story. So I did DNF this one. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you have read in the first half of March. I would absolutely love to know. If you've read any of these books, let me know and let's talk about it in the comments. I absolutely cannot wait for you guys to see Friday's video. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.